The future of talk is here. Power 102 Digital.
Of course, this is Power 102 Digital Tuesday. And of course, welcome to Hard Talk. And today's topic is something very close to my heart, and it concerns scouting experiences. And of course, the young people, we can make it if we try, and we have to think about the children. So I have with me a distinguished panel of commissioners who I'm standing by to see them come up on the set. I'm just seeing Jaron, please turn on your cameras so I can see you. I'm seeing you here. All right, gentlemen. So let me start introducing these gentlemen while they come on screen. With me today is Curtis Dindial, South Central District Commissioner, Jaron Lumley, Assistant Headquarters Commissioner for Scouting Experience, Krishan Punilal, Group Scout Leader, First Naparima College Sea Scouts Group, and Dr. Joel Bisnat, Deputy National Scout Commissioner, Training and Adult Resources. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Well, like I said, this is something very close to my heart because I try to do a lot of community work within the area that I live. I live in La Brea, and while on High Street doing my little thing, I met this group of scouts, and I just couldn't help it. It's in my DNA, and I couldn't help it. So I introduced myself, and I began questioning them about what only doing on High Street and this yellow jersey, moving around and stuff and things. So I made my connections, and I'm happy that I got responses from it, so that I can let me write it here. Okay, Craig Suku. Right. So I'm going to ask you to identify yourself and give a little bio or whatever. But it's close to my heart based on the state of affairs and the state of our society in these times. So I begged that we meet on the radio. This is Power Digital. We are streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. So anybody who wants to see what went on can pull it up tomorrow. Just type in Hard Talk Power Digital Afternoon Drive, and you'll see everything that transpires here this afternoon. So people who are probably, I told my good friend here, you can share the link so people can look on and probably listen to the proceedings. So let's get the things off there. Who should I start with? Deputy Commissioner, because I need to know the state of the scouting experience. I see that's a new word added to scouts. I was a little Cub Scout and graduated to scouts. So, I have an idea of the runnings of this thing, but I see scouting experience. Tell me about the state of the scouting across the nation, and what made you guys include experience? Who should I start with? Dr. Joel?
Sure. I believe experience would have been Mr. Romilly, though I think he stepped out at the moment. But we can start there. And one of the portfolios that we would have added is that look at the overall scouting experience. And we are trying now within the association to ensure that when our young people come to us, that they leave fulfilled. So we have a mandate, and it's an international mandate to ensure that when young people come, they are exposed to experiences that allow them to develop. It's a non-formal educational experience. And we are hoping that by focusing on this area, that all of our young people across the organization really gets that chance to do scouting the way it's intended, where they are outdoors, they are having fun, they are learning things, and they are exposed to experiences and activities that they may not have encountered normally. And we are already here, all of us, as volunteers to ensure that happens.
I like that word, volunteers. Before we continue, Mr. Suku, Mr. Craig Suku, identify yourself, please, because I was given a little write-up about who the people are here and what position they hold within the scouting experience. Mr. Suku,
Uh,
unmute your microphone.
yeah, I'm not seeing Mr. Suku in the room either.
Okay, let me see if I
So
can.
perhaps I could say that we could go to the National Scout Commissioner, Mr. Mark Ainsley John.
Okay,
Although I see Greg is joining. Yeah.
all right. Okay, I'm trying to get Mr. Rumley on screen here. Okay, my IT man is here, so I'm trying to get Mr. Rumley on screen right here. Just hold on a minute, gentlemen. Somebody is a bit too loud. So these are the gentlemen I have here. Okay, good. So tell me, Mr. Suku, identify yourself, please. Let
Yes,
let
sir.
people know who are here.
Good day, good day. My name is Craig Suku. I am the Deputy Operations Commissioner for the South Central District.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So I need all of you guys to from your personal opinion about the scouting experience. I heard from Mr. Dindia. I need each of you guys to expand on it so that people can understand. Because my purpose of doing this is to spread the word that the scouting experience exists and that it's worth the while getting your children involved in this scouting experience. We're going to get down to the roots and the nitty-gritty of it all. But tell me, gentlemen, share your views on as to what you think the scouting experience is about and the good of it. You know how we can expand on it, how we can get youths to gravitate towards it. I need an individual sort of perspective on the scouting experience. Who's next? All right, let me see. Let me choose one. Mr. Christian Punila.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So, the scouting experience and what it is we try to offer as the movement is just that we refer to scouting as a youth-led movement,
Mhm.
and in the experiences and in the content that we try to impart to the young members is something which develops them not just in the outdoor skills, but in skills that would help them throughout life in all aspects. So, for example, just being able to step in front of a crowd and be able to provide a speech and speak public speaking, to the very simple task of knowing how to manage their time whilst it is they are members of this organization is something that we would try to impart onto them so that they are learning by doing fun activities, but in the background they see and they get skills that will help them once it is they would have finished the program itself and move on to later aspects of life.
Okay. I see we have Mr. Mark Ainsley John. Well, I was told that you're a busy guy and you wouldn't be here. So he's the National Scout Commissioner. So let me hear from you, partner. You are you chief cook and bottle washer here now.
Thank you very much for having me, Mr. McIntyre.
Yes.
And also thank you very much for featuring the Scout Association of Trinidad and Tobago on your program this afternoon. I'm very heartened to hear that you have an interest in the Scout movement, and so much so that you're willing to support us by having us on your program. So I just want to say thank you very much and good afternoon to your listenership. Are you talking about scouting experiences and you're talking about the value of the organization to the nation and to young people? As a scout myself, a couple of years ago, I would have had the experience of participating in the movement on the wharf in San Fernando.
Oh.
And at that location, we would have been doing sea scouting. So I'd have had the ability to enjoy learning how to swim, how to sail, how to kayak with other young men through the program of the Scout movement in San Fernando at the wharf.
Yeah.
But I think one of the key factors associated with scouting is the fact that anyone can do it and that we cater for every single person in the society. It isn't, I suppose, about just having young people, but the association or the movement encourages adults to come help us create in young people active citizens. The goal of the Scout movement is to create active citizens, and it is to get young people to become active in the society in many ways. As Krishan just referred there, even if it's to take control of a program and speak to people in a crowd, or simply to provide some sort of service. Within the Scout movement, we have the Scout Promise, which talks about doing good for others. And we encourage our young people to do something which we call good turns on a daily basis. We start at the age of 7 years old in Cub Scouting, and we go from the age of 7 to 10 and a half. And within that section of the movement, we encourage Cub Scouts, as we call them, to do good turns on a daily basis. Good turns, I'm sure you would have seen a cartoon in the newspapers where there's a young person helping an elderly person across the street. That's a good turn.
Yes.
But we also want them to amplify that in 2024, especially because we have climate change happening around us and we have all of these sustainable development goals that we're trying to meet. And so the leadership of the organization, powered by volunteers, are working towards getting young people to meet the sustainable development goals. We have programs which encourage young people to create a better life on land, to clean up our waterways, to help with alternative technologies so that we can reduce the reliance on hydrocarbons, and also ensure that we can do good turns as it relates to getting food to underprivileged members of our society. So the gamut of the program is wide enough to allow young people from the age of 7 until the age of 23, which that section being our Rover Scouts, to contribute to the well-being of the society.
Okay, well said. Mr. Dindia, what what's your take on the
Yeah.
scouting experience?
Good afternoon, Mr. McIntyre, and thank you once again for allowing us the opportunity here and to your listening membership. Um, I will totally agree with what we have said that scouting is really is a total package. When we say a total package, it develops the young individuals, it lays the foundation so that it takes care of future generations. Right now, we as leaders and what we do in scouting, we want to ensure that we mold them, develop proper characteristics in young people so that as they grow and they evolve, they are able to experience life in a meaningful way. They can build their character and make a positive contribution in society in moving forward. And what we do in our small numbers, and it is a worldwide recognized organization that once a scout, always a scout. And we try to keep it simple. We do learning by fun. We are allow the young people to experience various aspects of building themselves morally and socially, interacting with peers, right? And this is all done in a fun way, and especially outdoors. Who doesn't like to have fun outside, right? And as we move forward, we are seeing right now, presently, the ills of society, right? And if we can inculcate better measures and values into our young people, we are stepping in the right direction to ensure that whatever we do now, we can rest assured that it can be built on for the future generations. So, what our NSC has indicated about sustainable goals, it will be achieved, right? So, it's just giving young people an opportunity in a safe environment to grow and develop themselves into nurturing individuals for society.
Okay, my good brother who I met on the street, would you come in and say what's your takes before we continue with more initiatives of the program? Mr. Rumley. Okay, see like I lost him again.
Yeah, it was on there.
Yeah, all right. Let's continue then. Okay. Now, like I said, I used to be a Cub Scout and a Scout, and I even got into a brigade we had in La Brea. And those days, I think that those days, families, parents, and stuff, they made it a point of duty for you must. There's no maybe or if or I'm feeling too. You just had to get into a little Cub Scout or the Scouts or the Sea Scouts or whatever. You just had to get into it. It was a form of putting in place disciplinary measures for young people. Now tell me, based on how it used to be in my time, we had a lot of camps, we had a lot of meeting other people, and let me see if I could add Mr. Romney here now. Okay, there he is. I'll ask you for your take in a short while, brother. But what I was saying is that back in those days, it was like a bunk to must have two. When your parents say you're going to join the Cub Scouts, you're going to join the Scouts, anything like that, you just had to. And to me, it worked quite efficiently in molding and shaping the minds of the young people. Now we have a problem with that. So I'll ask you guys your take on that. If there's a depletion in the community groups nationwide, if we have less scouting entities, or if it is being expanded, or we need promotions like what I'm doing now to make people put their heart and souls into it, because it is a problem. So, Mr. Romney, before these distinguished gentlemen answer, tell me, I met you on the street. I think you're real cool to give me all that information, not knowing me and believing what I told you. I really like that. So tell me, what's your take on scouting? I see you had a nice bunch of disciplined youths with you. That made my paws raise that day. So I had to approach you. So tell me, what's your take on this scouting experience?
Well, I must say a good afternoon to you, sir. And once again, thank you for having us on the program. My take on scouting is this is the only way of life. I've been in the scouting movement since age 6. I am 42 years old now, and I'm not giving up anytime soon. One thing I encourage my youngsters to do is to always pass on what they learned, because I am here, thankfully, because some other adult many years ago decided to spend some time with me, teaching me little skills, encouraging the fun aspect of things, but also building that measure of discipline where as you grow throughout life, you see where it's coming back to be of a benefit to you. Yes. I would have had the privilege to tell people straight up that, hey, I've gotten jobs just because I was in Scouts. I've gone to job interviews when they asked me nothing about the job. They spoke strictly about hiking and camping and all these other things. Yeah. And it was always from a kind of envious standpoint, because the interviewers at that point in time was like, I didn't get a chance to do this. You just still do this now, and look at you and whatnot. And they basically said, yeah, you hired it. Don't worry, we'll be talking here. And at the end of the day, scouting has a lot to offer. It is informal education, but at the end of the day, the education shared there is invaluable. So yes, it's a lot of outdoor stuff. Yes, it's a lot of fun. We might see a lot of youths running around in their uniforms and strictly think that, it's too disciplined, that this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, it pays off in life, because life is a circle, and exactly how you fertilize the tree when it's young is exactly how it's going to blossom for you when it reaches that point of maturity. And that's what we do. We feed the youths positive things, give them as many opportunities as possible, so that in turn they will blossom into the people that they're supposed to be. And hopefully in time they will turn around and give back, just as everybody else you see in the room right now today.
Okay, I want to know if there's a depletion in the organizations or the groups within the different districts. I know maybe the chief here, Mr. Mark, could expand on how many active entities we have across the nation. I don't know if you can probably...
I can jump in here and say that we've had a decrease in our numbers. Historically, the organization peaked at 10,000 individuals in the 70s.
Yeah.
But just like with the wider society, the membership of the movement would have decreased based on what was taking place outside. Um, to participate in the organization requires the involvement of the family also, but our numbers are actually increasing now because we've made some strategic moves to ensure that we change how we do our core business as well as how we manage and operate our districts as well as our groups. So you'd have spoken about the scouting experience. One of the things that we want to ensure, as Dr. Bisnat was saying, was that every young person gets the best quality experience as possible, but also that the groups in the districts are also managed well, and that we could provide support for the leadership. Um, Leadership and volunteerism, as you know, on a global scale and even as a national level, has decreased. But since COVID, and with the introduction of the 21st century technology, as well as the use of social media, what we found is that we've had an increase in young people wanting to participate in the Scout movement, but also adults wanting to become leaders of the Scout movement, as well as families wanting to become involved in Scouting. And I suppose this was because in the past, what we used to do was have our meetings at schools or at our meeting places. And really and truly, when our parents dropped off our children or young people to meetings, they would go about their business. And so they would not truly have an understanding or an experience about scouting. And so what COVID-19 did for us was actually brought the scout movement into families' homes and into their houses. And so parents became proxy leaders and they helped their children because everybody was home and working from home or not working or working partially. And so they were able to participate in some of the activities that the Scout movement provided through the online and virtual experience. So yes, we've had a decline. Our numbers are trending towards 5,000 at this point in time. And we are hoping that pretty soon we could actually get back to that peak number of 10,000 through support like what we're receiving here today, but also through the discussion that will ensue as we go about the program this afternoon.
Okay. Tell me something. What are the requirements for young ones to join? Are there special requirements for them to join? And by extension, who wants to lead? Are there any special requirements that you have to possess to become, a leader? And for the young ones who are interested, or for the parents to encourage them, what can the parents tell them that this is good for you? You just need to be this. So what are the requirements? What do you put? Anybody can answer.
Well, I think I'd ask Mr. Punilal to answer this, seeing that he has just exited the youth part of the organization as the youngest person in the room. And Dr. Bisnat could also speak about the adult requirements because his portfolio is on training and adult resources.
Great.
So they're the experts here at this point.
Mr. Punilal.
So speaking from the youth side of it, what is the requirements for our children to join the program is a love for new experiences, a love for excitement and adventure. There aren't any set requirements that state you need to have. The only thing would be our age. You need to be 7 years and older in order to join the Cub Scout section. And as you progress in age, you are able to join the various other sections. Now, depending on the groups that are piquing their interests, they may have some requirements, such as they need to be a student of a particular school in order to join one group. But that does not stop them from joining the movement as a whole, as there are groups that are open and able to take anyone that is interested, and we welcome one and all.
Okay.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, if we look at the adult side of things, we, as I said at the start, we are powered by volunteers. All of our leaders are really volunteers who want or have an interest in developing youth. And what we have in place is an induction program or induction system, so that when an adult comes to us and indicates that they want to be a volunteer with our organization, we have certain requirements that ensure that they can interact safely with our young people. So, for instance, we do some background checks. We ask that they provide us with a certificate of character, and we have mandatory training to ensure that they understand what is safe practice for our young people and how to, monitor and also observe the interactions so that they themselves know what is acceptable for young people and dealing with young people, and how they can work with them so that they are able to provide a fulfilling and enjoyable experience. Right? So our training programs really look at developing leaders who are able to step into that setting with a group of young people and then capture their interest and structure a program of activities that is appealing to that specific age group. And our programs vary. As Christian would have mentioned, you can join at 7, but you can also join at 11, at 15, at 21, and any point in between there as well. And at each level, the program is adaptable, or it is modified to suit the interests of that particular age group. So we are very welcoming to all, as our National Scout Commissioner would have said. One of the areas that we have worked hard on over the last few years is diversity and inclusion. And we recognize that people are at different points, and it's up to us to meet them where they are and bring them where they hope to be. So we are really trying to structure ourselves so that we can accommodate as many as possible.
Okay, tell me, is there a differentiation with these requirements for Cub Scouts and Scouts as for Sea Scouts?
So I can jump in for this one. Now, in terms of the requirements for Cub Scouts, Scouts, Venture Scouts, and lastly, we have the Rover sections for older youth. The requirements does not vary in terms of Sea Scouting and Air Scouting. Those are what we would refer to as our section, as our types of offerings. So for those that have the interest more in the sea scouting experience, they may have an interest in fishing, general sea activities, they can pursue those requirements. However, it does not inhibit or basically prevent them from getting the experience that an Air Scout would get. It is what would be termed as a more specialized program for that particular aspect. And similarly, with our Air Scouting program, if it is we have a young person that has the dream of being a pilot, they can pursue that program, which would be more specialized, but they also get the same experiences in terms of fishing, kayaking, hiking, and camping. And those would transcend the various groups. We would have scouts and venture scouts in the various Sea Scouting and Air Scouting.
Okay, tell me, is swimming, the ability to swim, a main requirement for a Sea Scout?
So the ability to swim goes without saying that a Sea Scout should ought to know, because it's something that we would be practicing very, very frequently.
Okay, so should a youth come into the Sea Scout and he said, well, look, I want to be a Sea Scout, but he cannot swim. Is there programs in place for teaching the young people to swim?
Yes, definitely. If it is, we have a youth that would like to join the Sea Scouting program but does not have the ability to swim as yet. That is something that groups can offer and have been offering to our young people, so that it does not prevent them. We don't say, no, you cannot join the scouting movement because you do not know how to swim. We will facilitate that, because that is what, at the end of the day, we would like to provide to our young people. New experiences, building themselves, building their capacities.
Okay. Now tell me, I've heard the word volunteer on many instances as the program started. Now, under whose authoritative um, 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 control, or who's in charge? Which is there a line ministry that takes the responsibility of scouting? Let's say like the Ministry of National Security. Because I'm hearing the word volunteering. Is there a body, an authoritative body that has the control and the responsibility of scouting?
So the Scout movement operates as an independent organization.
Is that true?
We were established by Act of Parliament in 1920. However, we are supported by the government because the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago does recognize the value of the organization. And we do get support from the Ministry of Social Development for our administration, some of our administration, as a matter of fact. But we are largely powered by volunteerism, and as an NGO, we are also largely powered by the funds that we raise ourselves or by the generous donations of the individuals that support the movement through their donations of cash or kind. We spoke about swimming just now, and in this instance, for support, the organization or the groups would partner with swimming schools or individuals that have pools to allow the scout leaders like Jaron and Craig and Krishan, who operate groups, to see scout groups, as a matter of fact, to take the scouts from the Cub Scouts, the Scouts, the Venture Scouts, and teach them how to swim there. We have a diving program, for instance, at one of our scout troops, and that is in partnership with a private company, simply to allow the young people to get the best experience possible, but also to help them maintain the interest that they would have had. So, we do get support from the government, but we also get support from the community to ensure that we are able to carry out the program and give the young people that best experience, that high adventure that they're looking for.
Now, like I said earlier on, the state of the community or the country, we'll get to that down the road, but what kind of response or responses you get from private sector or cooperative entities or institutions? Do they come on board with you guys? Because, I mean, this thing must need some kind of funding. There's no two ways about it. And I mean, people's contribution, people might contribute a little $10, a little $100, but really and truly, for this to have some kind of impact and to create an effect that like is a ripple effect, a domino effect, it needs some sort of funding. With the scouting experience and the people who are leading the scouting experience, approach the corporate people or the private sector, if I should put it like that, or maybe I think the Ministry of National Security should be playing a very pivotal role towards scouting. Because
we do get corporate support.
Yeah.
We do get governmental support. I suppose it depends on the government's decision as to where they would like to place the organization. However, from the corporate side of things, the organization has partnered with several businesses and several organizations, the United Nations, for instance, as well as state entities such as WASA to provide the opportunities, the programs for young people. We recently signed a memorandum of understanding with the Water and Sewage Authority Adopt a Road program. They are helping young people to understand how they can clean water courses, but also treat water courses well, so that the society can benefit from it. They have also provided us with the badges that the young people would wear on their uniforms after completing the program. So they also provided us with the program. So yes, it's quite expensive to do scouting and to give young people opportunities. But corporate Trinidad and Tobago, when approached, does help the organization, especially because they understand the value of the program to the nation, but they also recognize from a business perspective that the Scout movement teaches critical employability skills. And the critical employability skills are what are needed in terms of work. And so when they invest in the organization, they also invest in young people who they can rely on to help them fulfill their mandate as a business or as a corporation or as an entity or as an organization. And so we do get that. However, I will say that we do always need more support
Yes.
and more business entities to jump on board with us so that we can vary this program even further. We have a wide range and a gamut of activities that young people are interested in. And we also have a wide range and a gamut of activities that we would like to offer these young people. And so the more businesses that say to the organization, we would like to support you, the better it is for the Scout movement and also for the growth and development of the society.
If we're talking about support, we have a lot of talented people in Trinidad and Tobago. With all even though the place is in a sort of a state that have a lot of people in a confused and worried and concerned about where we're going, there are a lot of talented people. Are you inviting especially talented people to come on board with the scouters? People who are talented maybe in IT and in welding and these different vocations and stuff. Are people of that ilk coming on board with the scouters?
Yes. So
Well, if I may say
it is.
that,
Yes, Mr. India. Go ahead.
you got, yeah. So if I may say, the way how the program is structured, the
Yes.
association and the program is structured is that we always have links. We always have to be able to reach out, as NSC indicated, to corporate TNT, right? The program is structured where Cub Scouts and Ventures gain badges, right, and develop experiences, and it is up to the group or the district to make that link. So when NSC indicated that we have the support of WASA. We may have links with a swimming club. We may have links with Trinidad Rifle Association, the National Academy for Archery. We link with these individuals so that we give the opportunity to the young people to be able to experience scouting in the meaningful way, right? And we give them an opportunity to come on stream so that they can contribute not only financially but contribute also their time and their effort. All of us here put together, we wouldn't know everything ourselves. So you
I
talk
know.
about swimming, and I just want to say that, well, I really cannot professionally swim at this point in time, but I could save myself, right? So, but we always lend assistance to those who will want to come on board, right? And financially, yes, Mr. McIntyre, to do the programs to get things out is always a cost. And being an independent body, what is recognized, it is recognized to all the different governmental agencies. So at any point in time, once we market and we portray or whatever project or that we need to accomplish, we will be able to get, and we do get support coming on board to have the opportunities there um, for our young people.
Okay. If I should expand on that question, now I know that we have headquarters, and is are all the districts have a place that they can operate from that is identifiable to the public and to who want to come in and lend their support, be it vocation, educational, or social? Is there a place that these Cub Scouts operate that can be said, that's a scout house, or that's where the scouters are? Because I know in Point Fountain, there was one right on the main road going into Point Fountain, and now it's not operational at all. So these are the kind of things that bother me based on what's happening now. And if we had to think about the children, we have to start giving them a sort of space, if I should put it simply, to for people to see, because sometimes you don't know where to find these scouting entities. I know there's something in Chagonas that they can find, and so
So we
is
have
that
we have the buildings. We do have buildings.
Mhm.
We have our headquarters that our scout troops can operate from. But
Yeah,
one of the main partners of the organization is the Ministry of Education, and most of our scout troops exist in schools.
yeah,
In San Fernando, we do have a few community buildings, and we also have nationwide partnerships with the churches, and the church groups operate at the in the churchyards and in the communities there.
Mhm.
Um, One of the things that we are looking to bring back into the organization is a lot more of the community groups. But in
Yeah,
each district of the movement at this point in time, there is an asset that allows the scout movement to function. And so we do have some buildings. We are working towards getting others so that we can make sure that we can house our scouting in those locations in the communities. But we can do more as an organization, but we can also get further support from those individuals that can give us the assistance to get space that we can have the Scout movement operate from. You know, community centers, for instance. We have a proposal that we would like to, approach the government on as it relates to trying to get scouting in the communities that they are setting up, and literally working towards ensuring that we can have a partnership between the Ministry of Sport and Community Development and the Scout movement so that we can have uh, a space, as you are referring to it,
yeah,
which is dedicated and which is perhaps signed. There's a sign out in front that says scouting happens here.
yes.
Come on and be involved in the scout movement.
Mhm.
And so it's about the organization approaching the ministry and saying to them, this is our proposal. It's actually being finalized as we speak, because we recognize that with the trajectory of growth that we are on at this point in time, as well as with the fact that we have much more young people and adults being interested in the Scout movement, as well as the what I call the scourge being inflicted upon our young people through the crime in our society, that we as an organization need to partner with the government differently. And this is one way in which we can do so that we can become more visible out there, as well as be able to house our children and our scouts in a safe space that they can learn very effectively from.
Okay. And speaking of learning, I mean, with a space, an operational space, if I should put it like that, we are now living in an e-world. All right. So the activities need to be promoted these days via social media. That's the real promotional tool and media that you can use to reach people. So I believe that with these spaces, then it's a must that it be furnished and facilitated to that IT work and stuff, whatever you want to do, could be done, and it will reach more people and stuff. So is there something like an IT department within you guys? I know it's volunteering you guys are doing, but is that any kind of a conversation, or is there any kind of conversation going on to develop that aspect of learning and promoting and probably marketing the Scout movement?
So if I could take this one, guys. So yes, the organization is well structured departmentally. One of them being an IT department, and of course, well, we've recently done a lot of upgrades, not just for provisionally, but also we've integrated new systems through each district to implement new technology basically. And what we've also tried to do is within each organization to bring specialized persons who have IT backgrounds, etc., and work in managerial positions to help to foster um, better relationships with the public, grant them more access to systems and opportunities so that they could integrate more into scouting. One of the other things we've done in the past is to um, have partnership with Digicel, etc., to
Yeah.
provide those facilities for us to give the children a better opportunity as well.
Good. That I like the sound of that because that's where the youths are. There are lots of talented youths who get themselves in all kind of negativity that if given the opportunity to showcase what they can do with their phones or their iPad or the tablet and thing, there are a lot of talented youths who do all kinds of things that will have you fascinated. So I think that I think that will play a very, very vital role
Yeah.
within the development, because you can also link with global entities that can bring fresh ideas or international ideas to the scouting fraternity. What about
Because
collaboration with okay, go ahead, Mr.
sorry, if I were to add to that, just to highlight it, the scouting movement also we do certain things at certain times of the year. One of them is called Jota Jyoti Jamboree on the Air Jamboree on the internet in October. That really showcases technology and preempts at times may be preempted by STEM camps designed within each district to raise the level of technology and awareness with the kids and the young people. So yes, to say that we do have that kind of interaction internationally, we do have it. And with respect to the looking at sustainability post events, we do develop relationships with other NGOs and spread that technology on the outside as well.
Okay, okay. What about collaboration with military personnel? Let's say the Army, the TTPS, the Coast Guard. Uh, is there any kind of collaboration that you guys would use to encourage the youth, where security is concerned? We'll get to the crime part just now, but where security is concerned and the awareness of secured arrangements, probably the police might come and tell them how to behave, how to monitor and to be alert to certain things. The military might teach them something. The Coast Guard might teach them something. Is there collaboration with these kind of entities? Mr.
So if
Romney?
I'm,
So let's all jump in, guys. We do have a lot of collaboration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for instance, we would have started to use the approach within the organization that we want to develop partners. And we would have been actively seeking partners over the last few years to look for what we can expose the young people to, and also to understand how we can empower ourselves as an association, as a movement, right? So one of the things that we would have done, or one of the partners we would have engaged with, was the Trinidad and Tobago Police Youth Club initiative. We would have had members of the community policing units be part of our camps, and even so we had online camps during COVID and in-person camps. We had them come to facilitate sessions. Recently, we would have engaged with members of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force Military Academy. They would have worked with us to do training sessions help facilitate training sessions for our adult volunteers. And it's a conversation that we want to have continue, because the training that they offer and the type of service that they offer is something that is in alignment with our goals and objectives. There are many youth organizations operating within the country, some more aligned to military service, and some like us who have roots within the military. Our founder was a military person, but we are not directly channeling our young people towards military service. We do have the structures, but it's something that we see value in. So we have kept some of the traditions, and what our young people are interested in is the way that we will go. So they are the ones that guide us as to what we should offer to them. We will continue to work with our national security colleagues, of course, And one of the areas that this has been crystallized in is our involvement in the Independence Day parades over the last couple of years,
Yeah.
where our young people would have seen or been able to interact directly with our military or national security apparatus. They would have been exposed to the same level of training. They would have been exposed to that drill atmosphere. They would have been given the commands. They would have met the commanding officers. And that type of exposure really piqued their interest, so that several of them now are pushing their groups. So they are driving their leaders towards understanding the military service more and understanding what is required for them to participate in events like this. So our aim is to get the young people interested, and then as the young people are interested, we drive the program towards that, and that's how we are gonna develop the partnerships going forward also.
Well, I like the sound of that. I like the sound of that. About
If
the
I may add,
yeah, go ahead.
the program is also supplemented by the members of the Defense Force and the Police Service. So, for instance, we do have partnerships where the Defense Force teaches music to our young men and our young ladies. Many of the bands of the organization, they learn the music that you hear on the streets from members of the Defense Force who volunteer their service to ensure that we are able to provide marching music to our organization. The fire service offers the Cub Scouts, the Scouts and the Venture Scouts with an understanding of what they need to do in an emergency at home, for instance, through the badges that we have. And so they provide the young people with the opportunity to learn fire safety and learn how to be safe in an emergency of that nature. Historically as well, they would have provided the groups with first aid training as well, so that the young cubs, the scouts, the venture scouts, and even the leaders would learn from them as well in terms of first aid training. So the badge program is supplemented by the members of the Defense Force and the Police Service. And so they contribute as to their direct involvement in their growth and development within the Scout movement through the badge program.
Okay. Let's talk about activities that that the scouting fraternity is embarking on. You know what? Tell me about some of the. Well, I saw Mr. Rumley and his team on the streets. I know that was an activity probably generated to gather support from the public and to encourage people to come join and things. What are the other activities that are like on the drawing board, or what's happening presently for the scouters, you know, to impart on the general public and to people who are interested? Oh, and for the youths especially.
So basically, there are district activities, national activities, and it have group activities. And when the plan is done for the national, and national does their yearly calendar of events, it is broken down by the districts into district events. And groups all around Trinidad and Tobago have their own activities that takes place at various points in time. So there is right around the year activities at various levels. So at the group level, we may have fundraising for camping equipment, maybe fundraising to help some individuals go to Covery or Jamboree. At the district, we normally have statutory district activities. One of them is Founders Day, which was recently celebrated on the 25th of February, right? It was celebrated here in the South Central District of San Fernando, where there was a service and a street parade. So at the district normally have district activities, right? We have faith-based. We don't exclude any religious body. So we tend to celebrate and highlight the different religious denominationals that we celebrate. So like Diwali, Eid al-Fitr, Christmas, we celebrate that at the district level. And then at the national level, national will have their goals and the development plans, right, that they will want to promote. And when we're talking about national, we talk about Cubbery jamborees, national camps, right? Linking with different various NGOs, like we have Good Deeds Days coming up on April the 14th, and we are getting together there, right? So what I will say is that we have a year-long brown activities, and it is how well which group or which individual would like to get involved. But we try to get a national, try to have everyone on the same page so that they can operate, they can plan, so we don't have clashes all the time. And when we do have clashes, that means we come together as a national entity where you will see the streets fill, you will see churches fill, you will see camping grounds fill with young people which are highly engaged in various activities. So sometimes being at that group level, there's no rest, because when you are planning for your group activity, a little hike or a camp, right? National district will have their activity, and then national you have to walk around to make sure you reach national involvement. And all of these allow the young people to experience and interact with different individuals, different ages. And again, I will go back again. All of these experience we're talking about here, Mr. McIntyre, it goes into the total package. That way you could build the individual themselves, right? So as Mr. Punilal indicated, to be able to speak off the point, right? To be able to promote or demonstrate an activity, to stop and help someone who is in need on the side of the road or on the side of the street, or just have a conversation like you, how you met Mr. Romley and his group in San Fernando, and you were pretty much blown away how they were able to converse. This is what we're talking about, and this is how we have various activities around.
Would
If
like
I
to
may
jump in
interject at
as
this
well,
time,
Mr. McIntyre.
so specifically for the association and what the activities we are providing for young people in the country, you did ask about what we have on the drawing board. So just to give you an idea, we have for the varied sections being Cub Scouts, we have in July of 2024 this year, the 21st to the 27th precisely, we have a camp at Roxborough Secondary School for the Cub Scouts. Yeah. And we also have on the drawing board what we call a moot, which is like an international jamboree of sorts in Portugal of 2025.
Oh yeah.
Further to that, we have the next international jamboree in Poland in 2027. And as seeing these things in the light that um, the participants of these events would have integrated and demonstrated their proficiencies and competencies in completing the varied programs that they are involved in. For example, the Cub Scout section, the Scout section, the Venture Scout section, so that their level of independence and capabilities would qualify them to participate in such. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we
That's
also have the national camp coming up in Tobago, as Mr. Suku alluded to. Mr. Suku is actually on the planning team of the national camp, and he and his team are working to provide an opportunity for young people to go across to Tobago for a couple of days and explore Tobago, share some experiences with each other, and build the bonds that are required to operate in a society that is multiracial, multi-ethnic. So I'm begging and craving your indulgence, Mr. McIntyre, for Mr. Suku to talk about that national camp and also to put a plug in for support for the national camp. He also has a fundraiser coming up and
good.
hoping that you'll allow him to do so. And
Yes.
then also we can talk about Good Deeds Day on the 14th of April. The Good Deeds Day is actually a day in which all of us are going to go out into our communities and do good for our community. And we want to ensure that we have as many people coming on board with us to do that.
Yeah.
So if Mr. Suku
Mr. Suku,
would be allowed.
expand more. Man. Don't be afraid to talk with her. We have till 6 o'clock. And this is why I'm putting effort into this. I need this to be well spread across the board. We need people to know. So tell us more.
So basically, what the camp is about, please excuse the interruption.
That's okay.
So basically, what the camp is about is fun in the sun, an opportunity for children to participate in varied events, being on site and off camp as well. Off camp, basically getting out there into the ecological aspect of things, hikes, seeing the terrain in Tobago, getting more appreciation for culture, because there will be some overlapping into the Heritage Festival of Tobago at the moment in time. We will have on-camp facility activities as well, with fun stuff, with like one-day Olympics, activities such as obstacle courses and the like, right? So basically on camp as well, we have varied bases with external service providers partnering with the association to make fun activities available, and more so educational activities available to the children of the community.
That sounds fantastic, because I was just about to ask about sporting activities and probably talent shows that, where they can compete. So you can see who has the ability and who is talented enough to move forward in if they want to make it a career pattern or whatever. So I think all of that is very, very important. What I need to say here before we reach to the end of the show, and I will say it at the end of the show, I am dependent. Mr. Romney has my contacts. You guys just have to send me a WhatsApp that this is coming up, and I will do my best to promote until.
That will be greatly appreciated.
Yes. I commit myself to that.
Because Craig has a Choker Fest coming up soon, and we want to promote that. We want to get the tickets out, because the sales of the Choker Fest would allow for more young people to participate and would reduce the cost of the event overall. We do have letters out to corporate Trinidad and Tobago where we're asking them to support the camp. But internally within the organization, we're trying to raise funds ourselves, because we believe in helping ourselves as well as working towards getting that partnership with others.
Okay.
Right.
So you guys will be having barbecues and stuff.
Well, there's a plan, There's a plan. And we can't unveil everything at the same point in time, but if you understand that these that are being planned, there is a budget. So we really targeting to really meet the budget. So if the NSC don't stop me, I will say the budget is in the line of $1 million to be able to pull off all these activities. And why I say that, sorry NSC, because Mr. McIntyre, when you hear all of these activities, it's not just because we going across there for a holiday, right? It takes a lot of infrastructural work in place. You will have to rent buses. We will have to get the airways. We will have to get the boats across. We have to get personnel. We have to get food. We also have to get material to be able to have it all. Whilst most of our leaders are coming together and join their skills and the effort and the knowledge of doing it, we still need that financial assistance, because there's one Johnny around somewhere around who really wants to go, but because financially they are not able to. That is where I feel the need is, that we need to make the opportunity for every single person who will show an interest in Cub Scouting or Scouting to get that experience. And that is where we talk about experience. We don't know at that one camp, that one hike, what effect you could have on that young mind that could just blow him out of this world to be the next Bear Grylls, to be the next national sharpshooter in the country. You understand? And that is how we look at it, to give everyone an opportunity. So NSC, please forgive me, your budget is $1 million we're looking for, right? Thank you.
But I think it should be more.
Well, we want to make sure that we can provide as much as possible
Yeah.
for the young people and the leaders that are volunteering. Craig and Curtis are mentioning the funding aspect of things. Craig left out horseback riding, and other aspects of sports. But we also want to do our best as it relates to the environment, and environmental training and environmental teaching, as well as financial training and financial teaching as part of this program that we have for young people. And we're looking to try to ensure that we get 500 individuals to come together and experience this. When I was a Cub Scout, the first time I went on the boat was actually to Tobago to camp. I have been on the plane with my parents, but that was the first time, and that was the I think one of the experiences that stuck with me through my life. Going on the boat to Tobago. And as a teacher of young people and having conversations with young people, there are many individuals in our society who have not gone to Tobago at all.
Yeah.
And their parents can't afford to take them on a holiday to Tobago. And we are providing that opportunity through our National Cub Camp to take our Cub Scouts to Tobago, but also to take some adults to Tobago to work with us through the National Cub Camp. And so we want to appeal to corporate Trinidad and Tobago to say to the organization, here's what I'm going to invest in young people, and I'm going to invest in the Scout movement through this exercise. But I need to step away soon, but I want to talk about Good Deeds Day on April 14th.
Yes, go ahead.
And on April 14th, we're inviting the entire country to participate with the Scout movement in its districts in a day of doing good for others.
Yeah.
Just do a good turn or do a good deed for others. In one of our districts, we have already made a decision that we're going to have a day of games. We're going to have a day where we're going to invite the entire community to come out and play games and socialize with each other. Because we recognize that many people don't have the opportunity to do that, but also that they don't have the opportunity in terms of a structured space to come out and play games. You mentioned sports, and how do we get sports involved in scouting? This day would serve as a way in which we could give back to the community. I just mentioned to you that I'm asking corporate Trinidad and Tobago to come and get involved with the Scout movement and give to the Scout movement. But this is a day in which we're setting aside to do good turns for others, but also to give back to the society, to give back to the underprivileged, to give back to the privileged, to let everyone know that we are an organization of doing good for others and giving to others, so that when they interact with us, they see the fruits of participating in the Scout movement immediately. And so we're going to have Scouts take the lead on this. Last year, we had Scouts go and do beach cleanups in Mayaro. We had Scouts go down to Penal, and they worked with a home where they repainted the entire home. They helped clean out the gardens. They replanted the gardens. In Tobago, they showed environmental concern by planting trees. In Port of Spain, a Scout troop actually took a children's home and gave them a day of fun. The Scouts themselves raised the materials, they raised the food, they purchased the food items, and they put the entire thing together. And they gave these children who are in a home, I wouldn't mention the name of the home, but they took those children from the home and they worked alongside the mountain branch as well, and provided an opportunity where these young people, these children in this home, came out and they just had a day of fun. And the Scouts were the ones who drove that activity. We also have Scouts on during that day that create hampers, different kinds of hampers, whether it be food hampers or clothing hampers. And they go out and they give to the society, they give to the underprivileged, they give to everyone that they meet, just so that they understand that in a world that is filled with hardship, there are individuals who still will look out for them or look out for the society or look out for the individual without asking for anything in return. And so coming up in April will be one of those marquee events of the organization where we are going to encourage our members to do good for others. And we want to join with every single member of the society. We want to join with your radio station to ensure that we are able to share the work of the Scout movement through Good Deeds Day on April 14th, 2024.
I'm going to remember that date, sir. I know you're ready to run, so you're making me fast forward. The crime situation is what drove me, really and truly. It's always driving me. I'm connected to a group too, and it's such a bother. It is such a concern. It is giving us a kind of a bad name as a Trinidad and Tobago, the paradise we used to call it. So the disciplinary way and the behavioral patterns that we develop from scouting and stuff, based on what's happening on the crime front, if I should put it boldly like that, I guess the scouts play a pivotal role by the Do Good Day, by coming together. It showcases to the other young people who might be inclined to get involved or to be recruited into the criminal activities and the negativities, that you don't have to do that in a partner. We have this going on here and this nice. What kind of impact you guys are hoping to have on the young people to make them aware that the criminal and the negative things that they do, the negative activities, it's not going to help them in the future. It's going to more destroy them than ever. What kind of impact? I need that from each and every one of you. What kind of impact you guys are hoping to have on the young people so that we can take some kind of control and we can see where the younger people are more inclined to do positive things than negative things? How does the scout movement, that I know it's a disciplinary thing, because when you're a scout, you've got to be disciplined. So is that helping? Are you guys seeing any overall response from the actions of all of what these guys are saying are happening to impact on the young people, that the positive ways to go and not the negative way? Let me hear you guys. Your own personal opinion, if you're in charge, leader of a special district or what, tell me what kind of effect or how it's affecting the young people and stuff within your area and in general the nation.
So let me go first. So for me, I would have identified, and not just me, I think everybody in this room would have identified with exactly what you are talking about. We've had a push. What we've realized is social penetration is a very important thing. For my part, I've actually tried. You'll be familiar with exactly where the Scout House is in San Fernando, because
Yes.
you're aware of there. And I've actually tried to have conversation. I've had conversations with members of the society down there. But this is an opportunity for me to explain something on behalf of members of society in those areas. In talking with the young people, and in myself growing up in an area closest to the vicinity, these young people have actually said that it's difficult for them, the opportunities presented by society, it becomes difficult for them to integrate, um, basically out of that stigmatism and get into activities like what we have, because in their mind they have the perception, you know impoverished, lack of opportunities, lack of education, lack of support systems at home and in the community as a whole too, where there are things to help the young people, the impact is not there. We need to do something to bridge that gap to get them involved in scouting. So what I've done actually is have the conversations, invite them to participate in some of the events that we may have. And it's quite right, as the national commissioner had said before, and we always need to be mindful of this. There are young people that have the capability, They may not have the means, but they do have the capability. And we try, what we've done is try amongst our groups to bridge that gap by developing internal policies within groups to see what we could do to help those children and those young people that can't do it. For example, let's say we have a program and they can't afford a uniform. We provide the uniform, we cover the cost for those things in certain instances where it cannot be met by the parentage and the individual himself or herself. We, for example, once they have gone through the program, what we try to do, basically the program culminates with the varied activities. As you would remember, things like cobberies, jamborees, etc. Where children would have gone through the program and emulated to become very independent of themselves, to handle their personal stuff in such a way that they represent the country. And this is something we need to look at this point in time. These kids learn so much that they actually go out there and represent our country by showcasing our country with music, with culture, with food, etc. And that is really, really great. I think it's something that a lot of people don't pay attention to. But to get back to the point that you were making, we actually help to mold and develop policies to help finance children so that they can experience these things. And I think it's something we have recognized that we need to do is more of that social penetration. And in years gone by, we've actually have that memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Education where we integrate into schools. But even in schools, we are actually seeing, as was evidenced by the March for Violence in schools in Siparia recently last year, um, we see the impact of the social influences in schools, right? And we actually do go into schools. We had a drive where we went into most of the schools um, to spread the word of Scout and to do demonstrations and showcase in schools where we have maybe familiar with the club day where they have varied clubs, the drama club, the karate club, but we actually did showcasing in schools and in communities, in community centers for what this association has to offer to young people. So it's a challenge. We know it's a challenge. If it was not a challenge, then we wouldn't be where we are now. And of course, it's a work in progress. It is very difficult because I heard you said something a little while ago. I myself have been in scouting since 1983. I'm still here. And we do one of the things we recognize is change, um, and change to suit the needs of young people.
Yes.
So, and the change also culturally and how we could bridge that gap with young people to have more people and more young people involved. It is a challenge.
I know, because what bothers me and what seems to be very easy to accommodate is people who are living impoverished lives. Their children, they'll be looking at children who are living a better quality life, and it's very easy for the criminal mind to recruit them, because somebody might say, boy, you wear that old shoe, we're going to buy sneakers now, right? And it starts easy. The recruitment starts like that. Mr. Punina, let me hear your take on the impact of scouting to make these young people aware that the negative road is not the road to go.
So one of the things that would have been mentioned by Mr. Suku is targeting those in the impoverished communities. And there's a phrase that we have in scouting currently that we call safe from harm. And one of the key things that we try to offer to our youths is a safe space. It is a space where they can come regardless of socioeconomic status, and at that point just have fun. They can just be children, they can be youths and experience the program and move forward. And in order to showcase why it is we believe so heavily in scouting, we are able to draw upon those that would have come before and highlight scouts that have represented the country. And I'd use the example we would have had within the South Central District and in Trinidad. Scouts who would have begun kayaking with his local group down in San Fernando on the wharf. And he developed and realized that talent that he had and grew that talent, joined professional clubs, started practicing, and was able to represent Trinidad and Tobago at regional levels and at international levels in a competition.
Yeah.
What we also try to showcase to our parents is this is something that can help your children academically. It is something where we have activities from groups that set up homework centers that enable the children to benefit themselves if it is that they are not able to afford the extra lessons that may oftentimes be needed. They are still able to benefit from it academically and grow themselves. We've had countless scholarship winners who would have passed through the scouting program and see and can attest to the benefits of being involved in something extracurricular whilst also pursuing your academics.
Yeah. Mr. Rumley, you're very quiet, bro. You hearing me? Jaron, are you hearing me?
Yeah, loud and clear, loud and clear.
Okay, tell
yeah,
me, what's your
yeah, now?
perspective? I know, yes, I'm hearing you. Tell me, the criminal activities and the young people we share very concerned. We are the same page where that is concerned. What's your take? Does scouting really help?
Yes, off the bat. Scouting is a brotherhood, right? And sisterhood. We need to be mindful that the organization is structured in such a way whereby what we do not only impacts those who are immediately around us, but it fans out. It spreads throughout society. So we are basically influencing those that are within our reach. And now, because of the internet, especially everybody's within our reach via social media, we influence them directly as well as indirectly. So scouting generally is structured in such a way whereby we have 7 laws established for the young person to adopt throughout their life. It's not a Saturday only something, And with those laws, we ask them to make a promise to understand where they are and to continually improve. And basically, by their actions, and in most cases, a lack of or inaction, they are now able to influence others. So, for example, if we have a group that's saying, I'm not smoking, I don't want alcohol, you find that those who gather around them are going to develop such a like mind. And they may not be Scots, but they now will be able to realize, oh, here's what. Craig is doing well at his schooling, and he seems to be more focused. But the one thing that Craig not doing, that I'm doing, is probably consuming alcohol, probably smoking. And I'm not speaking about illegal things, right? We talk about legal stuff because smoking cigarettes is legal, consuming alcohol is legal, right?
Yes.
It is illegal for minors, but it is legal, something readily available. And even in impoverished homes, you find, unfortunately, that the adults may not always be strict on their children to say, I don't want you smoking or I don't want you drinking. It's there, and they may influence them in that pathway because, again, that's how their home is structured. But when you come to scouts, we tell you that, hey, that's not good. And we show you the medical side of things, what's negatively impacting your body, right? And those influences now transfer into their decision making as they grow older, because, as you say, they may have talent, they have skills, they might want to play football. But how many footballers have smokers' lungs? How many footballers are alcoholics? And especially if you're now developing your skill, you need to be very mindful as to how you treat your body, right? On a mental side of things, we try to encourage good levels of self-esteem. We boost that as much as possible with our young persons because there are a lot of negatives out there. So we know body shaming hazing and harassment on the sexual end as well as on the mental side of things is a big negative in society. And we tend to try and show the flip side of that, where we teach you to take pride within yourselves. We teach you to be able to stand up and speak out, so that even when you are challenged by those things, you can stand up and say, hey, this is not right. I don't agree with this, and be able to go and find help from adults who will be able to support you in making good choices and being able to stand out like that amongst your peers, so that you will now become a role model to those who are around you, because you stood up and said, hey, that's not a good action. That's not a good practice, you know? And at the end of the day, we need to be mindful that all that we do has that impact on society. Our program teaches employable skills. As much as it is informal education, it is employable skills. And as I said in the beginning, I would have gotten jobs based on skills that I would have attained while I was growing up throughout the movement, you know. And I always tell people straight up that what you put in is what you're going to get out of it. So we have kids that come and they may be from socioeconomically challenged backgrounds, and they don't want anything in their future. But as Christian rightly said, they might take a liking to one part of the program. And that one part might be just enough to save them from a life of crime. That one part might stimulate them enough to go and tell their friends who are not scouts, hey, come and try this thing. You know, you mightn't like the fact that they're telling you you have to reach for a particular time, or you have to put your jersey in your pants, or you have to put on a uniform and look a particular way, or that you have to do X by Y by Z going down, because most youths today will tell you too many rules. We don't want that kind of restriction. We feel boxed, we feel caged in. But when you show them, based on that, we can offer you X, Y, and Z. They want all the high adventure stuff, all the challenging things that they would say, well, hey, you know, I went last week, I went ziplining, I went snorkeling, I went archery, I did this, and they're like, where you get to do that? Where you get to do that? How come I can't go to? You know, and they will influence their friends now to move away from what might be the stigma of lineman on the block, where it's not productive, because you go there and what they teach you is wappy. They'll teach you hustler games and all these other negative things. And then, as you rightly indicated, it's not difficult now for the negative minds in society to fish in that pond and say, look, you can't get this on your own. Look, I could give this to you. So we get it away, try to pull them away from the quick money and the fast turnovers in things, and show them that here's what, if you structure yourself in a particular way, if you apply the skills that we teach you, if you adopt the principles that we would like for you to develop yourself in a particular way, live by the law and understand the promise, and in time you will be able to stand and say, well, hey, I got out of the ghetto concept. I got away from the negative influences of those who would want wrong for my life, as well as who would influence me to probably encourage others to do wrong likewise within society. And you'd find that these scouts now become role models within their schools, role models within their community, role models within the church. And even if they weren't actively engaged in church before, because one of the arms that the promise speaks to is our duty to God, whoever you acknowledge God to be. You know, you may find that they now want to go back to church. And I'm happy to say that I've heard scouts tell me that, sir, I never went to church before, you know. And you carry me to church, and then look, mommy says she carry me next week now. You know, because it is a family something. And if we catch one in the family, it spreads, because now the parents get involved, the siblings become envious, because why Ryan getting to go every Saturday and I had to stay home? So everybody wants to jump on board, you know. So because the movement is wide in terms of the age range, there's no one individual who can say that they're outside. You know, we may start as young as 7, and there's no lock-off date. As you grow, things will change in your life. We understand this. But as things change, if you may need to stop for a period of time, you may stop, and then you may come back on board at a different level and a different capacity, and you are now able to still spread that joy of scouting to those that you meet in society. You know, and every drop, as they say, fills the bucket. So in our own little corner, where we influence youths positively, where we encourage them in good behaviors, good actions, understanding what is necessary for their personal growth and development, we are helping to fight crime, as you were alluding to, as well as to subdue criminal elements within the society. Because if the pond dry up and have no more fish to fish for, then guess what? The drug dealer and them have to find somewhere else. You know, and at the end of the day, there are many aspects of our program which help to do just that, take them away from those elements and keep them more focused in things that are positive, things that will develop them to becoming better active citizens, so that in the long run, Trinidad and Tobago can return to that state of paradise that you mentioned rightly before.
Yes. Another situation that has developed over the years to, some youths, they can't come out at this area to go into that area. How difficult it is for you as scout leaders and the positive influences to motivate them or to influence them to, to probably try their best to come out and be part of this thing, because I know there are some areas where some youths, they dare not cross this boundary and they dare not go on this turf. How difficult can that be, Mr. Suku? I know you mentioned that area in Sanford.
Yeah, you leave me at kind of yeah, without words. What I do know is that um it's better now. It is much better than what it used to be, that particular area.
Yeah.
I mean, those are my neighbors, and I treat them with as such. I for me, what I've done is to extend the hand of trust, and they've actually they've reached back though, you know, so much so that we have members of the community supporting us with our stuff. They want to be part of what we do. You know, quite recently, for example, there was a guy who his skill is playing pan, so he wanted to use parts of some of the facilities that we have to teach young people to play pan, and I encourage it. You know,
Yes.
so he's he asked for proposals, how we could partner with you to get things done. I understand the question you're asking from a territorial aspect.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I don't know how we could bridge that gap just by the only real way is to extend the hand, get into the community, have the conversations. But that border issue, that's a more internal thing socially than and bigger than me, basically. You know what I mean?
I know.
You
So
know.
Punilal, what's your take on that?
So from that perspective, I think one of the approaches that we would be able to perhaps pursue is looking at the schools, because at the end of the day, for a particular community, there would be a nearby school that the youths would be attending, and if it is that we can have our scout groups operating at that centralized point, it kind of prevents that territorial barrier from preventing a youth that would like to pursue these types of activities from doing so. And at large, they would realize that this is something that they would like to do, and it ripples out into the nearby communities even.
Yes, I agree. Now, with the social media platform thing, if people want to connect and support and probably contribute to the Scouters Association, let me put it under that umbrella. What are the social platforms that people can link up to connect with you guys?
So we have our advertising widespread on Facebook and on Instagram, not just as an association, but by groups as well.
Yeah.
For all the activities, the activities that we do by program, post photos to sensitize people that may see the photos to want to be part of it, the more high adventure aspect of things, because we do drive the high adventure aspect of the program, or as well as, so let's look at the program aspect of things. We also do advertise on social media for adult volunteers and for persons for vacancies within the organization, as well as corporate sponsorship. I mean, at this time, let me just throw in the ring. We have, for example, this camp in Tobago. We would really appreciate. We've been trying to get sponsorship, not just from the business people, but we would really like appreciate if we could have more corporate sponsorship by way of Tobago too, to help the development of Tobago. Because let us not forget Tobago.
Yeah.
You know, we always talk about Trinidad, but you could see the statistics on the news. of what's going on in Tobago.
Yes, yes.
So we need to get more involvement there. To answer one of the questions earlier on about that social impact, one of the things that I realize is that when you do have the conversations with the young people, they say, well, I don't know about scouting. I never, what's that all about? So you have the conversations and they say, well, really, they kind of more taken aback to say, well, we actually have those things. So now you build the conversations, you build the confidence for them to come and be part of. You invite them, you make them part of more of the social activities so they could come in and see and feel what it is like to be part of a community-based event,
Yes.
and we've actually had people that join the association that way. Yeah.
Right. But what are the handles for social media? All of these platforms have their special handles. Facebook has a handle. What are the handles for connectivity with your group via social media?
So, as the youngest in the room, I can take this question. So, our handles on all social media would be Scouts TT. On
Say that again?
Facebook, Scouts
Yeah.
TT.
Okay, Scouts TT.
Yes. And
Nice.
you can search us up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, either via Scouts TT or the Scout Association of Trinidad and Tobago. We also have a website that is available. There are the phone numbers available for our headquarters that anyone that is interested in volunteering their service, that is interested in partnering with us, or at the very least would like to join the incredible opportunities that await them, they can contact with us. They can send us a message. They can comment on one of our posts, and we have a team that is ready, able, and willing to respond to them at all times.
Great. I like that. Well, let me let you guys know, right? I am currently the president from the director of the Library District Tourist Association. So I'm going to send my invites to you guys. I'm going to have a meeting with the group, and we're going to discuss how we can accommodate you guys to come have a tour of the Pitch Lake. It's a very historical, educational, and recreational place. It has a lot of eco activity there too. So I'm going to have a discussion with my crew, and I will link up with Mr. Romley, and we will invite you guys. And I need it from a national perspective. I don't want just one district coming. We will try to see how best we can accommodate, a big crew, so that they can have a real fun day and share the experiences that the lake has to offer, all the niceness and all the natural experiences that they will surely appreciate. So I'm going to work on that. I'm going to keep in contact with Mr. Romley. I'm going to send you my email address also, so that we're going to keep close. And all these activities that you guys have spoken about, you just send them to me, and I'll be part of your promotional team from this end.
Great. Mr. McIntyre, if I could interject at this time, should anyone, adult volunteers, people in society, children, want to engage or learn more about the Scouting Association, they could go online and look for the Scouting Association of Trinidad and Tobago. You will see it there, Scouts TT at the top of the page, as well as there's the contact information for people who want to know more. 623-1195 is our headquarters number for the headquarters building.
Repeat the number for me.
623-1195.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Let me add, I see that we're coming down to the end, basically.
Yes.
Just remember, for the event in Tobago, Fun in the Sun, we have the Choka Fest carded for May the 20th.
There's Choka Fest.
Yeah.
Tomato choka and bygone choka you talk about?
Let me say it in Trini, right? All kind of choka.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah. So 25th of May,
Yes.
from 3 to 7 p.m. at the San Fernando headquarters, or what we call the San Fernando Scout Activity Center at Mbakade.
Okay.
The blue building, as they say.
Yes. Well, like I said, I'm going to hold you guys responsible for giving me the information. What I'm going to do, let's say the the activities on Saturday. Once I have the opportunity, if it's 5 minutes off, I'm going to invite one of you to come back on air and just promote it. Okay? I will do my part in the build up to it once I get the information. So don't be afraid to send me the information. Mr. Romley has my contacts, and I will send him my email. He can share it with you guys, and you guys can send me whatever information you need the public to know, and I will surely do that, because my bosses will allow me to do that. They know that's in my DNA.
Sure.
So I appreciate you guys coming on, Mr. Romley. You really surprised me by having all these heads come on. I feel really elated about that, and I would really like to see this thing grow from strength to strength, so that we can bring back a sort of a normalcy to society across Trinidad and Tobago. So keep me informed. Don't be afraid. I will make time to have every event be aired just before the event, like a 2-3 days in, to remind people of what's happening, and to remind them also that we need contributions, because this thing needs a lot of money. $1 million is small money, for a group, an entity like Scouters across the nation. We should have 20 million in the account somewhere to help these youth go forward, because everything now has a sort of expense added to it. All right, so I want to thank you guys for coming on. I really appreciated it from the depths of my heart, and I will share with my group too, and we'll get in contact with you guys maybe in the August vacation, when they have a lot of time on their hand, and we're going to put it together. We have a real nice fun day, and you guys can come showcase your talents and all of that. We're going to make it a public issue.
Great.
Okay? Yes.
Mr. McIntyre, I just want to say on behalf of the association, hearty thanks for having us on. We really appreciate it. We appreciate the impact it would have, right? I can't without words, because I've been in this association for all my life, basically, yeah.
Yes.
And we need the support, yeah.
Of course. I'm here for that. Remember that. Put that in all your wallet. And I'm so happy I met Mr. Romley. It was really a pleasure. It surprised me, and I said, wow, let me try to get the message across that I am willing to support in whatever way. And being a media person, I always do these kind of things. So I appreciate having you guys on. And remember, we stream the live on Facebook and YouTube. So who missed out, they can put it up tomorrow. Just type in Power 102 Digital, Afternoon Drive, Hard Talk, and you will get a repeat of a podcast of what we did today.
Great.
Okay. So I thank you, Mr. Romley, Mr. Punilal, Mr. Chuku. Suku, I will come look for you, Mr. Suku. I know where the place is that I come and ask for you.
Come on, look for me, man.
Yes. So I want to thank you guys, and enjoy the rest of your day. And I really enjoyed this, and we'll do this again.
Great.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Punilal, it was nice of you as the young boy and the team now. So enjoy your day, Mr. Romley. It's been a pleasure. Keep in contact with me, okay?
Great.
Always. Thank you very much, sir.
Take care.
Okay,
Thank you again, Mr. McIntyre.
Okay, great. That's it for today's edition of Hard Talk, Power 102 Digital Tuesday, where we put the spotlight on the scouting experience of Trinidad and Tobago. And we are appealing to the corporate people, private sector, social entities to come on board, and let's make a change and rearrange Trinidad and Tobago for the positive. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The future of talk is here.